Good morning, everyone. Hello, dear students. Samir Velankar here. Welcome all of you to another session of Python. So, yesterday we saw what is a function in Python and some properties of function. Like, you know, yesterday we saw how to define a function in Python. Now, definition of the function in Python, as you remember, starts with the keyword def, and after that we write name of the function like square, and then we write a parameter if needed. I told you that it's not necessary that function must have parameter, but most of the times, 99% of the times when you write a function, it has parameter. Like we are saying we want to find square of some number x, and then there will be a statement return x into x. So this function returns square, and then we said there is a main script which will run first. So execution of Python program will start from here, not from the top. And if you say c is equal to square maybe 2, then this is known as function call, and we are passing 2. So 2 will get copied in the parameter x, and the function will return 2 into 2, which is 4. And most importantly, I told you that function always returns value at the call. So 4 is returned at the call, and then c stores 4, and then finally we print c. Okay. Now today, what we are going to learn is still we are learning functions. Same topic we are learning today also, but I will tell you something about anonymous functions. Anonymous means unnamed functions. This is a characteristic of Python. Excellent facility Python has given. Actually, Java also has unnamed functions, but Java calls it as something different. Let it be, okay? And I found it very difficult to declare or to create anonymous functions in Java, but it's so easy in Python. So best of luck. Let's start with what is an anonymous function. A function which does not have any name is called anonymous function. And we define such a function as lambda function. So lambda function is anonymous function. This lambda, is a reserved word in Python. It's a keyword. And this keyword or reserved word is used whenever you want to declare or define a function, but don't want to give name to the function. Everything else will remain same. What we saw yesterday about function, everything will remain same. Only the name of the function will be missing. Okay. Better idea is directly to see an example, a programming example. Just imagine in my Python program, I write a statement like this. Just check this. Lambda x colon x into x. That's it. This is a function. This line, this single line is a function which is same as, absolutely same as this function, square function. But the above function has been defined with def keyword, and the below function has been defined with lambda keyword. The above function has a name called square. The below function does not have a name. The above function returns x into x. Below function also does the same thing. I am underlining it. You just check. The above function has a parameter called x. Look at the bracket written after square. It has a parameter x. Below function also has a parameter x. I am underlining it. Only thing missing is the def keyword and the name of the function. But trust me, this is a function in Python. There is no name, but then we will say it is a lambda function. Like that. Okay. Now, what is the grammar of lambda? Syntax. How do you generally write lambda? You write lambda, the keyword, Then what comes is parameter or parameters. So after this word lambda, you may have one or more parameters, like lambda x, one parameter, or lambda x comma y, or lambda x comma y comma z, like that. And then comes always a colon character after parameters, and then there is an expression. Just check, after colon, there is expression. I have not written expressions. So how many expression can come after colon? Only one expression. This is the grammar of lambda. Now, as an example, check this lambda function. Just imagine this lambda x colon. So x is the parameter. And the expression is x into x multiplied by x. This is called unnamed function. Now what it means is, suppose the value of x is 2. Imagine this is the parameter. If x is 2, then this function will evaluate a value 2 into 2, which is 4. So given 2 into 2, which is 4. So given a value of the parameter, given some value of the parameter, that parameter is used in the expression. Okay, if x is 4, this will be 4 into 4, so it will return 16. This is exactly same as what we learned yesterday when we were learning about function. Check what we said is, when you call the function by its name, you must pass a value. That value goes in the parameter, and then that parameter value is used, saying return 2 into 2. Exactly the same thing I am saying. This parameter will get some value, it will set to some value, and that value is used in this expression. Okay, but then whatever I have written till now is of no use. I repeat, whatever I have written till now about lambda is of no use, because this is an unnamed function. So if the function is not having any name, then how are you going to call it? Just yesterday I was saying, if there is a person having no name, which is really uncharacteristic, but if a person does not have a name, how will you call that person? Obviously not possible. So problem here is, okay, you have defined a function, but it does not have a name. Then you cannot actually ask this function to run. For instance, how do you ask the square to run? Simple. You call that function with the name, and then the control will jump to this function will run and return an answer. But that was possible because the function was having some name. Here, this lambda function does not have a name. Then what is done is that this lambda function is assigned to some variable. Let's take some variable like z. Z is equal to this lambda, we write. So when you use lambda function, just writing lambda function is of no use unless you assign that lambda function to some variable like z. Any variable you can take. Now z is as good as name of the function. Previously, first we had unnamed function. This function does not have a name. Then we have assigned it to z, and z is as good as name of the function. So what you have to understand here is that, let me go to one more page. Let's define a function z is equal to lambda x colon x multiplied by x. Okay, this is an unnamed function. You assign it to z. So this is as good as name of the function. Now what you do is, in main script, you say c is equal to z2. Now this is the function z, and 2 is passed to the function. Check, this was the parameter. This is the function z, and 2 goes in x, and the function will return 2 into 2, that is 4. 4 will be returned back at the call, and c will store 4, and then you print c. So actually, you are creating an unnamed function. Then you are assigning it to a variable so that this itself is the name. How about giving the name as square? Oh, great idea. Square is the name. So you can write c is equal to square 2. So what happens is lambda function gets called because square is assigned to lambda, and this 2 will go in the parameter x, and the function lambda function will return 4 at the call, so c will be 4. Now I want to announce one thing, that whoever is listening to this very cautiously, I hope all of you are listening with full attention, should tell teacher, we did not like this. I want all of you to say that what are you saying? I mean, maybe you're wasting our time. I didn't like this. Should be your comment after listening to all this. Look, what an out of sense I'm talking about. First, what did I tell? Lambda is used for defining unnamed functions. I told that. And I said that this is an unnamed function. Correct? Then I am assigning name to it called square. And then I am calling the function with the name. And I am saying that the lambda function gets called. If I wanted to give name, then why didn't I straight away define def keyword and square function with the parameter x and then return x into x? I mean, what was so bad in this? Ultimately, by writing this, we are again creating the name, isn't it? So the point is that if lambda creates unnamed functions, and again, if we have to assign a name to it, then why lambda? Why don't we simply create a function this fashion? Just check before coming to some conclusion that this is next to nonsense and so on. What I am saying, just check this. How about this lambda function? Cube is equal to lambda, okay, x colon x into x into x. So if you pass any value of x, cube of x will be returned. But this creates an unnamed function, and we can't call unnamed function. We need some name. So we have assigned a name cube. And now if I say c is equal to cube 3, then here this cube, this word is referring to this unnamed function. So when you call cube, this 3 will get copied in the parameter x will become 3. And obviously 3 into 3 into 3, that is 27, will be returned at the call. C will become 27 and we can print C. But the big point is, if you wanted to assign the name ultimately, why to write this? We could have written def cube x and then return x into x into x. I mean, we are not still understanding the importance of lambda function. Although we have understood the grammar, how to write lambda and assign it to the name, and ultimately the same things happen which are happening in these normal functions which have names. Before you again come conclusion, just check this example. Suppose I say add is equal to lambda x comma y. So now there are two parameters separated by comma, then colon x plus y. So it means that if this lambda function has to run, you should pass two parameters because you have written x comma y. And the name assigned is add. Now, what you can do while calling this function is, you can say add, say 10 comma 20. So what's happening is this name add, is actually assigned to unnamed function. So when you call add, this 10 goes in the first parameter x, 20 goes in the second parameter, and lambda function runs. When lambda function runs, first it takes the parameters which you have passed. So x is 10 and y is 20. And after that, it will run the only expression. Remember, you can write one expression after colon, which is of course x plus y here. So 10 plus 20 is 30. So 30 will be returned at the function call and c will become 30 and we can print c. But coming to that same point, which I was telling, coming to the same point, if you wanted to do this, if you wanted to give some name, then even this would have been better. Def add x comma y, two parameter function, but name, anyway we are giving name here, you just check, and then return x plus y. Okay, but I hope that question is still unanswered. What's the use of lambda, isn't it? If this also and this is looks quite similar, then where is unnamed function? Anyway we are assigning the name. But after learning all this, I guess that you have understood grammar of lambda, how to write lambda. What's the way to write the lambda function? I hope you have understood. Coming to the point, lambda function is never used in this fashion that I have written. We don't write lambda and assign a name like that. We don't do this. But this can be done. You can define an unnamed function and assign a name to it, and then call the function with that name. But this is not the use of lambda. So if you are comfortable, I will go to the point here. What is the application of lambda function? Use of lambda function. Okay. See, these lambda functions, which are unnamed functions, these lambda functions are used in, check the word now, they are used in higher order functions. Higher order functions. Check this word. You will take some time to understand and to digest what is this higher order function. Because just yesterday we started functions, and now I am telling, think of higher order. What is this? Just imagine there is a function, imagine some name. There is a function in Python called filter. Okay, filter. This is the name of the function. And this function is ready-made, is given by Python. Filter function is given by Python. Now, as filter is a function, we will write bracket. While calling the function, we will write bracket. Okay. And now see, what are the parameters passed to filter? The first parameter that we pass with filter is a function. And the second parameter we pass is a list. Oh, good Lord. Look at this. What is filter? It's a function. So we are calling this function. We are calling the filter function. Like we call square function or we call cube function. Like that, we are calling filter function. And while calling filter function, what are we passing? We are passing another function. Can you believe it? I mean, come to the point. Take your time. There is no hurry. Because there is one point that you should all get clicked properly. See, think of a function, maximum between two numbers. What function will you write? You'll say max. You will have two parameters, x and y, because we want to find maximum between x and y. Now, what is x and y? Numbers. So what are the parameters? Numbers. I'm not writing entire function here, but then from main, I will call c is equal to max. Tell me, what are we going to pass? We are going to pass numbers. So when we call this max function, this itself is a function max. What are we passing? Values. Okay. But can you imagine a function called filter? So we are calling this filter function. And while calling the filter function, we have to pass another function as the parameter. And the second parameter is list. Such a function which takes function itself as the parameter is called higher order function. Higher order function in Python. So max is not higher order because it is simply taking numbers. Okay. But there are many such functions in Python which, when called, you have to pass another function. So what is higher order function? Come again. Whenever a function has a parameter as another function, then such a function is called higher order function. And remember, lambda functions are always used. Lambda functions are always used in higher order functions. Okay. I hope you are understanding. So you will better understand with some example. Okay. So see, lambda function are used with higher order functions, I said, and filter is such a function which takes a function parameter. So without any delay, I will tell you now how to use lambda function And trust me, you will like it. What an idea! What an idea! Just check this. Here is example 1. And don't worry, I have notebooks on this. I have an elaborate notebook on lambda function, and also I have a notebook on functions which I will post today. I will send a mail to concerned person and you will get those Python notebooks. So here is example 1. Write a program. Here is a question. Write a program to separate even numbers from a given list of numbers. Given list of numbers is the question. Okay. As an example, working has been shown. Let's say A is the given list and A stores 10, 3, 15, 15, 22, 12 and 7. Some numbers are stored in this list. This is the given list. Okay. Then we should create a new list. Let's say B. From A we should create a new list, and this B will store only even numbers. Only even numbers from this. That's it. So what are we doing is we are filtering out even numbers from list A. A is the list, given list, and just filter out only the even numbers and store it in the new list is the problem asked. Now this problem can be solved by writing a Python program of 10 lines, or this program can be done by writing a Python program of 3 lines. So what I did as a teacher, I always do is, I show the students Python program of 3 lines, I show first. And then I take them on a longer drive and I say that the same thing can be done using 10 lines also. And most of the times, students like the 10-line program. Strange, isn't it? Strange. Because when students see the 10-line program, everything is revealed to them, that what is happening behind the scenes and how exactly logical is this 10-line program. But at the end of the day, any programmer, once he or she understands, would always opt for writing 3-line program, of course. So what is that 3-line program? Here we go. See this? The program will start defining a list as asked in the question. A is the list, which is 10, 3, 15, 22, 12 and 7. This is the list. Okay. Then question says you create a new list B which will store only even numbers from the given list. So I'll say B you get created now. B equal to I am saying. And then what I am creating is a list of numbers, bracket, then filter, bracket, then lambda, okay, x colon, have patience, x colon, x %2 equal to 0, okay, lambda closed, comma, here is the lambda function we have written, okay, and after that I will write A. Now this is a close bracket for this lambda, one more close bracket for this list, and this undoubtedly will create this B list, and the last line you write is print B. B is your answer. This 3-line program has filtered out, that's the word, filtered out all even numbers and stored that even numbers in a new list B. How that works, we will see after returning to this page. But curiously, Everybody must be thinking there, is it really? Does it work like that? Let's see. A is equal to 10, then maybe 15, 3, 22, let's say 17. Okay. So it contains some even and odd numbers. I forgot equal to. So A is the list. Fine. Now I want to create a new list B, and I will say list bracket filter bracket lambda x colon x percent 2 equal to 0, okay, comma A. And then finally I will just put print B. So let's try to run this. Look, this is exactly list B, which contains only 10 and 22. These were the two even numbers which we have got. Let's say somebody changes the question. We don't want even numbers, we want odd numbers. So you can ask Lambda to filter out wherever you get an odd number. We will see this in execution. I'll tell you how it runs, but just have patience. Now, x percent 2 not equal to 0 we have written. Now this B will store all the odd numbers. Just check 15, 3 and 17. Now what I was saying is the same thing can be written in 10 lines also. And you will like those 10 lines. Because a first reaction of any reader on reading this list, inside that filter, inside that lambda, lot of brackets here and there, no fun here. Let's see how this runs. Okay, so here we go. Next 5 minutes are really crucial for us in understanding how this concept works of lambda function. Okay, so as I said, A is 10, then 13, then 3, maybe 22, then 17. Okay, then I have said B is equal to list filter lambda x colon x percent 2 equal to 0, comma A. One bracket, one more bracket, and then print B. Now let's see how this works. For some time, you just leave aside this list word. Okay, it is the outermost work to be done. Have attention to filter. What exactly this function does? Now, whenever you write filter function in your program, then you need to pass two parameters. First is the function, and second is the list. That is name of the list. So you can see name of the list given here is A, and indeed A is a list. But check this filter. The first parameter that you have to give is a function. This should be a function. And have you given a function here? Yes, of course. Lambda function. It is an unnamed function. Come on. So what you are seeing inside the bracket of the filter, is a function, lambda function, then comma, and then the list. Remember, this is the only way to write filter. First parameter has to be function, second parameter has to be list. But then the function that we have designed is a quick way of defining a function. Oh, it's so boring. Def keyword, then name of the function, then bracket, then parameter, then colon. So boring. We want to create a function on the fly, at that line, quick. The quick way of defining a function is lambda. So that's what is filter function. Now let's see how filter runs. When this function starts, filter function starts, it sees who is the list. First of all, it will check the list. List is A. Okay. Now, what filter will do? Okay, list given is A. So it will automatically pick the 0th element of the list. This is the 0th element, isn't it? See, first time when filter starts, it will see the list A and it will go to 0th element of the list. And what it does, is that it tells this lambda function, lambda, you're having your parameter x, correct? Make this 10. This value, 0th value of a, is substituted at x because x is the parameter of lambda. And then once x becomes 10, colon, check this colon. What do you write after colon? Yes, expression you write, expression. Now this 10 is given to the expression. So what does the expression become? 10% to equal to 0. Now you all know this is a condition. We are asking actually, is 10% to really 0? We are asking, and it is 0. Remainder obtained when you divide 10 with 2 is 0. So this condition written in the lambda function is true. Okay. Then what filter tells, what filter says, okay, 10, you have passed this test. This was the test for you and you have passed it because the test for you was, are you divisible by 2? And x was divisible by 2. So what filter does? Filter will filter out 10. See, the first value filter allows is 10. And this 10 should be ultimately stored in a new list. But wait, there is still a lot of repetitions to go. I'll just clean a few things. I hope you are listening and you are understanding what I am saying. Now, second repetition of filter. So this is this is repetition function. So filter will see A is the list, and then it will take this next value, 13. That is the first element. And it says, okay, 13, you go in X. This is the parameter. See how filter is connected with lambda. And this 13 is passed to the expression. Now it will check whether 13% to is really 0. Now this is false, isn't it? 13 when divided by 2, remainder is not 0. So what we say, this test, this was a test actually, has failed for 13. So 13 will not be filtered out, will not be in the result. 10 is in the result, but 13 won't be in the result. Then third repetition of filter. It takes 3, the next element, and it says, okay, now 3, it's your turn. X should become 3, and then let's check this test for that value. Is 3% to 0? That's also false. So even 3 will not be passed over in the result. Now during the next repetition of filter, 22 is taken. That is third element, and 22 is passed in X. See how filter is connected with lambda. Filter first says, okay, I am selecting this candidate for the test, 22. And lambda, you have the parameter X. So you better take that 22 and tell me whether the test for 22 is pass or fail. Now, definitely 22% to is 0. 22 is divisible by 2. So this is true. And as 22 has passed the test, result will contain both 10 and 22. And then filter continues taking 17, which is the fourth element. But 17 does not pass the test, needless to say. When X is 17, X% to equal to 0 is false. And now filter says enough is enough. I have finished checking all the elements of the list that you asked. And I have very well given 10, 22 as the result. Okay, but there is a twist in the tail here. Filter has given 2 answers, 10 and 22. But ultimately, you want your result in which form? You want your result in the list form. And you recall, when we learned list, there was a constructor called list, isn't it? Whenever you want to create a list, simply give those values to the list constructor. Now, just remember, filter has given 2 values, 10, 22. And you want to make a list of these 2 numbers. Then simply give list outside this. And what this constructor will do, list constructor, it will take all the result and make a nice list and then store it in B. Hence, B looks like this as a list which contains 10, 22. This is a comprehensive explanation of filter function. Many examples we will be solving. on filter function, but this is the easiest example. Some more things before I ask you whether you have got this or not. See, filter, is all about selecting a value or dropping a value. Yeah, that's what filter is. Then in the lambda function, listen carefully, in the lambda function, the expression that you give after colon must be a Boolean expression. What? That means the expression should be such an expression which will give true or false value. And that has to be there because filter should know, has somebody passed the test or not? So this is a testing condition. So the colon, after colon of lambda, we will always give a Boolean condition which will be either true or false. That's how filter runs. Just check here in this Jupyter notebook, when I wrote x% to not equal to 0, this is also a Boolean condition. So how will the filter start here? This filter function. Filter will say, I'll take 10 and I will put this 10 in this x. And then x will undergo check. So we are checking is 10% to not equal to 0, but 10% to is 0. So this condition fails. So 10 is not filtered out, but 15 will be filtered out next time. Because when you check 15% to not equal to 0, it's true. 15% to is 1. So 15 is filtered out, 3 is filtered out, and 17 is filtered out. But then there are 3 values, isn't it? Which are given as the output by filter. We want to make a list of these 3 things. So this entire thing will be given to the list constructor. List will create a nice list and we will store it in B, and it really looks like a list. Believe me, this is not an ordinary thing I made. This now looks ordinary. Oh, 1 line. Okay, anybody will say, you written 1 line, fine. But actually when you write a program without using lambda, filter and all that, when you actually code it, you will need a for loop. Hello, you will need a for loop because obviously you want to go through all the elements of the list one by one. So you need a for loop. Then inside the for loop, you need if else. Because you need to ask a question, are you even? Are you odd? Something like that. So there will be if inside the for. And if is true, then you have to add that value in B. So you will need some function like append. Recall? List has a function called append. So that that value will get appended in the new list. All sorts of things will have to be done. But these things are done in the background here. Just check. Are you understanding this filter itself acts something like a for loop? Because filter takes 10 and puts it in this x. And then this is like a if statement. X, are you passing the test? Then only I will let you out. I will filter out. Then filter again takes the next value. So how filter helps us in iterating, in going through all the values of the list. So we are saved by writing for, then inside that for there is a if, then appending the new value inside the new list. All those things are done by this line. Anyone wants to say something on this?
Sir,
Yeah.
is this only applicable for list or tuple too?
Yeah, it is applicable for tuple. Good question. It is applicable for tuple also. I am coming to that point. It is applicable to any iterable. Okay. I will introduce that word iterable again today. Okay. But
Okay, sir.
yeah, while writing grammar, I agree. While writing the syntax, I wrote list. That is the second parameter you have to give is list, but that's not the convention. Any iterable can be given over here. Okay, let's try right now itself. Suppose this A is not a list, but it is a tuple. Now all of you know what is a tuple, just collection of numbers. This is tuple. Okay, and then I give this A. Now you see, this A is not a list, A is a tuple, but still filter will work the same way. It will take 10 because this is 0th element. Remember, tuple also has ordered indexes. So filter takes 10, then puts 10 over here, then checks the condition 10% to not equal to 0, false. 10% to E is 0, isn't it? So 10 won't be filtered out. Same way it runs for tuple also. And you can create a list finally by giving list, or if you want the output to be in the form of tuple, you can use the constructor tuple. So whatever values are returned by filter or selected by filter, a tuple will be created and B will be finally a tuple. You can see 15, 3, 17 are all the odd numbers, and they have been stored in the form of tuple. So any iterable object, check the word iterable object, which we can iterate. We can go from one element to other element, is allowed in this last parameter over here. So it can be list, it can be tuple. Okay. After having the first drive of lambda function, let's see some more questions. Maybe one question, and then I will tell you about map function. Okay. Very interesting again. So my question here is, let's say, given a list of numbers, what we want to do is create a new list which will contain, let's say, given a list of numbers A is the name of the list. Create a new list B. We want to create a new list which will contain all numbers of list A which are greater than 50. Let's say. So suppose A is a list like this: 15, 75, 22, 88, 100, 19. This is the list. Then what another list B should be is, it should contain 75 because that value is greater than 50, and it should contain 88. Look what is getting filtered out, and 100. This should be the new list. Okay. So what kind of code will you write? The code that you will write, is first you will define A is your list. You might have already started constructing the code in your mind. So what we will say, B, you become a new list. Here we go. Okay, we are making a list. B is a new list. But this list will be created by filtering out the value. So filter, okay. Here we go. This is the filter function. But we are filtering values from which list? Come again. We are going to filter out the values from which list? We are going to filter out values from list A. Okay, here we go. The last parameter is A. Before that, comma. Okay. So we have decided that we are going to filter out the values from list A. But what is the rule? I mean, when the value should be filtered, when it should not be filtered, where is the rule? The rule has to be given, and the rule will be given by using a function. And that function, we don't want to be boring and write define, function, bracket, parameter, colon, all that. No. We want to create a function on the fly. Instantly we want to create a function. Then the remedy is lambda function. What you then do is, you create a function lambda and you say, look, what I want, you create a lambda function and you say, look, what I want to do, I want to inspect every number like 15, 75, 22. I want to inspect every number, isn't it? And then just ask, hello, are you greater than 50? If you are greater than 50, and if it is true, then you will be filtered out. So that gives you a clue that there will be only one parameter for lambda, isn't it? There will be only one parameter. Why? Because at a time you are going to ask question to only one person, that are you greater than 50? You can't ask this question to 3 or 4 people at the same time. So there will be one parameter x and then colon. And remember, you are talking about filter. So this second part after colon must be a Boolean expression, which will evaluate to true or false. What is that Boolean expression? X should be greater than 50. Look, If some x is really greater than 50, then that x will be passed in the output. So when this filter begins first time, it goes to 15 because it has to iterate the list A. Iterate is the word. So it will take the first element from the list and put x as 15 here. But 15 does not pass this test. So 15 won't be filtered out. Then this filter function will go to the next value 75. And 75 is put in this x and 75 passes the test. Then 75 will be given at the output. Similarly, 22 will fail, 88 will pass, 100 will pass, and 19 will fail. So after iterating through this entire list, filter says I have finished and I have filtered out whatever I can. Now, whatever it has filtered is given to the list constructor. And list will nicely make a list of 75, 88, and 100. And ultimately, that list will be stored in B, and we can finally print B. Okay. I mean, this is how, when it becomes very confusing, too many brackets, one in the other, then this is how I read it actually. What I do is I normally read these lines like this. B, you should become a list. Of course, we need B as a list. Okay. But we are going to filter out values from list A. And then finally, we talk about the rule. The rule is the lambda function. Lambda x colon x greater than 50. And then comma A. So this is the filter function. Tell me what are the parameters to filter again. First one is function. Higher order function. Filter is a higher order function, remember. So the first parameter to filter is a function itself. And the second parameter is iterable like list. Okay, let's see this going to Jupyter Notebook. Of course it will run, but let's see. A is equal to, let's say I have 10, 100, 88, 9, 13, 66. Okay, then I want B to store a list. List of what? Filtered values. I want the filtered values from which list? From A. So here comes this A list. But what is the rule for filtering? The rule for filtering is a lambda function and lambda function. And I say X, you should become each value of the list one by one. So X, you will become 10, then X, you will next time become 100, then next time become 88. And for every such value, you will go through this condition. If you pass this condition, only then your value will be filtered out. Otherwise, you will be left out. This becomes the way how we can filter the values greater than 50. And then we will print B. So you will see when I run this cell, I will get only those numbers which are greater than 50. All right. Now, what if I don't write this list? Let's play around with this, okay? Suppose I don't write list, I just write filter. See how I am calling filter inside that lambda. This is great. Somebody will feel that filter will run through this list. Everybody knows. So X will be 10. So you just check this. Filter will obviously take 10, put it in X, pass through this test. 10 doesn't pass, but 100 passes. 88 will pass the test. 66 will pass the test. So filter have given 3 answers: 100, 88, 66. There is nothing wrong in this. There is nothing wrong. But the problem is filter has given 3 values as the result. But we have not created any meaningful data structure which will store these values. And we have directly assigned the result to B. Let's try to print B and see what happens. Look, we have not created a list here. Let's see what happens. It says B. When we print B, it says it is a filter object at so and so address in the memory. This, what number you are watching, is a hexadecimal address of the memory. So what has happened is filter was successful, no problem. But this B was not a list. And this is not readable by us. So what you have to do rather is that whatever values are filtered out, you tell that I want to create a list of this. Now B will be a list. And of course, it will be human readable. So now there will be a list created. Otherwise, you will get a filter object. Okay. More on this filter object, I'll tell today itself. What does this mean exactly? Okay, you might say this is the output given when we don't give list, but what does this mean? I'll tell you, trust me. But now we will get a nice list. Okay. So 2 examples we saw for filter function and how lambda assist filter. Great. Now, can we do this without filter, without lambda? The same problem. This one, second one. If the number is greater than 50, only then store it in the new list. Otherwise, don't store. You know the problem now. So how do you do this? Best of luck without using filter or lambda. I'll just copy this list. This is the list we are working with. Okay. Okay. And now I'm not going to use any filter or lambda. What I will do is I'll create a B which is empty list. See, just square bracket open and close. So B does not contain any value still now. Then recall, we can write a for loop on a list like this. For X in A. Recall that. What does this loop do? It iterates on A. So this X first time will be 10. Then when the for repeats second time, this X will be 100. Third time when the for repeats, this X will be 88. And last time that X will be 66. So you just say X, you will be element of this list A, one after the other. And now you just put a if inside because you want to inquire this value that you are right now inspecting. Is it greater than 50? So if X is greater than 50 colon, remember the grammar, then you have to take this X in B because B needs all values greater than 50. So you write B dot append. Yes, you are appending a new value in the list. And which value? X. Because X is greater than 50. But what if this if is false? X greater than 50 is false. Then you won't write any else. If X greater than 50 is false, then simply leave that value and go back to for and take the next value. So that's it. That's it. This is the for. We outdent now. Back. We are out of the body of the for. And now if you print B, this will also take out the numbers which are greater than 50. So actually I exaggerated. Remember in the beginning of the lecture, I said you need to write 10 lines. If you don't use lambda and filter, you need to write 10 lines. Okay, I exaggerated. Just see how this works. Okay. B is initially empty. Start this for loop. This X will be 10. So I'll better write it. X is 10 now. Okay, because X in A we have written. So it will take first value in A, 10, X will become 10. Now when you start the loop, there is a if here. So we are asking, are you greater than 50? But 10 says I am not greater than 50. So that if is false, so this line will not run. What that means is 10 will not be appended in B. But then what will happen? Of course, the for will repeat and X will become the next value 100. And when X is 100, again the if is checked and 100 passes the test. So 100 will be appended in this B. Then when loop repeats, 88 is the next value of X. X will become 88. So understand that this loop iterates through the elements of the list and then 88 also passes the test. So 88 will be appended. This B will be now 100, 88. And this goes on. 9 won't pass the test, 13 won't pass it, but 66 will pass. And see how B is already a list and we are just appending it into this list and finally printing it. Now, whatever I told you here is what actually happens over here in the case of lambda. But we don't see that this loop, this if statement is internally done by Python. But even as a programmer, we can write the instructions like this and we may not actually be dependent on lambda or filter function. So now the second story about this lambda functions I will tell you. Lambda functions are outdated now. Lambda functions are outdated. So nowadays, Python programmer never ever uses lambda functions. What I want to say is, over the years, so many Python programs have been written, and programmers have made use of lambda function in their program. And mostly what happens, when we work in Python, we have to refer or we may have to make changes in the older programs. And then we need the knowledge of lambda also. So although it is outdated, lot of work has been done using lambda function. The newer aspect of this is list comprehension. Comprehension. And you will see when we learn list comprehension, you'll see this is state of art, which does the same work. Okay. But then let's see that later. So what I was saying, here we go. Now let's talk about map function. We were talking about filter function. Now let's talk about map function. Just check. Map is also higher order function. Now, as soon as I say this, you should understand that our teacher is talking about a function called map, which will take another function as the parameter. Any such function which takes function itself as the parameter is called higher order function. Okay? And what is the best way to understand what map does is to see an example straight away. Here we go. The question is, given a list of numbers, let's say A is the list of numbers. Okay? Create a new list. We want to create a new list. Just as we were doing in filter, A was given and we were creating new list B. In the case of filter, here also we are creating a new list B, which contains square of each number of list A. This is the question. As an example, suppose A is, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a list. Then what should happen is we should create a new list B, and the elements in the B should be square of each number of A. So 1 will be mapped, check my words, 1 will be mapped to 1, 2 is mapped to 4, or 3 is mapped to 9, 4 is mapped to 16, and 5 is mapped to 25. Please try to understand, we are not filtering out anything here. The problem has changed. We don't want to select something and drop something. But we want that if there are 5 values in list A, then we don't want to filter out any values. If there are 5 values in list A, then there should be 5 values in list B also. Okay? But each value of this list A will undergo some expression, and it will be transformed into a new value. Each value will be transformed into a new value, and that new value will be stored in the new list. Okay? So how do you do this? It's better directly to see grammar and then understand the working of this. Now, most of the things which I am doing here are going to be repetition of filter. Okay? So suppose I have list A like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now what we do is we want to create a new list B. So we'll say B, you become a list. Here we go. You become a list. What is this new list going to contain? It's going to contain square of each element of A. That means every element of A will be mapped to some value. Every element of A will be mapped to some value. So we will use a function called map. Okay. So we are not filtering out values, but we are mapping the values. Okay. But we are going to map values of which list? We are going to map values of list A. So here we go. The last parameter given is A. And the first parameter given to the map is the rule. What is that mapping rule? And it is written in the form of a function. See this? The parameter passed to the map function itself is a function. And that function tells how this transformation will be done. What kind of mapping is needed over here? That is written in the form of a function. And we can very quickly on the fly write a lambda function. Now, lambda will be written as x colon x into x. Just check this. This is going to create a new list B just as shown above. So if you print B here, square of all the numbers of list A will be printed. Okay, we will go through this step by step how it runs. But let's first of all see it in the Jupyter notebook. If A is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, and suppose B has to become a new list and list using a map, and map will use a function lambda where x will result in x multiplied by x, comma, A is the list on which it is working. And then finally we will print B. Print B. So you can see B will be a list, which will contain square of all numbers of list A. Okay. How this runs and what are the rules? Please become comfortable now with this. Just see what will happen. For some time again, you leave this word list. Have attention to map. When this map will begin first time, map will see which list it is working on. It is working on list A. See, you are given list A. So what it will do is, map will say, let me take this 0th element. That is 1. I'll take this value 1 and I will put that value in the lambda parameter. So 1 will be put here. See how map is connected with lambda. Map will pick the value 1 from the list and it will put in the place of parameter. And once this x is 1, then it is simply given to this expression which is written after colon. So this will result is in 1 into 1. So we say for element which was 1, the output of the map is 1. So what map does, the first result it gives is 1. Now map during second repetition will pick this value 2 and put it in the x of lambda. Then it will run this expression which is 2 into 2. So what has happened is, for this value 2, the output given by map is 4 and previous output was 1. So 1 comma 4, 2 outputs. For 3, it will put this x as 3. So you see for 3, it will be 3 into 3. So now it is giving third result 9. Then it will give 16 and it will give 25. So actually map has not filtered out anything. Map has just taken each value and it has given that value to the expression and it has given a new value out of the previous value. Obviously you got so many numbers, 1, 4, 9, 16, 25. You need to create a list out of it. So you have given that, okay, map, you have given me a lot of values. Now I will better create a list from these values. Isn't it so? Just check this. If I go to Jupyter Notebook again, and just for fun, if I remove this list, I did this with filter also. You recall? I'll better show you again. For this, I shown you that what if I remove this list function and I just say B is equal to filter and print B, then it printed filter object, isn't it? B is a filter object. So it is not creating a list. but I want the output of a filter to be seen as a list. So definitely we gave this as whatever values have been selected should be now stored in the form of a list, and we got a list. Now the same thing if I do here, you see, I have assigned B to map. Guess what will be the output? When I print B, output will be B is a map object, like filter object. B is a map object. Just see this. So you get a new lesson here, although the topic is lambda and map and all that, but I am deviating from the topic. What I am telling you is that whenever you assign any variable to a function, remember, map is a function, isn't it? Yeah, map is a higher order function. Whenever you assign any variable to a function, okay, and if that function is a higher order function, then this variable B will simply be an object of that type. So you see, when I did not write a list here, it's saying that B is a map object. Or when I did not write list here, it said B is a filter object. But what are we going to do with this object? We want all the values to be human readable. So we will say that whatever values have been mapped should be converted into a list or should be stored in the list, and we will get these values, which are square of the original numbers. Okay, so let's repeat our discussion on map using one example. Suppose we have a question like this. Just check this. Question is given two lists. Let's say A and B. A and B. Okay. Create a new list. Create a new list C, which contains sum of corresponding elements. Sum of corresponding elements of lists A and B. Lists A and B. An example will speak more rather than English question. A question asked in English language. Suppose I have A as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's say. And B is, let's say, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Now, what the question is saying is, given these two lists, create a new list C, which will be 11, 22, 33, 44, 55. That means every corresponding element, 0th element of A should be added with 0th element of B. First element of A should be added with first element of B, and so on. And this new list should be created. This is the question. Okay. So how are you going to do this? Rather, what you see is, this is a problem of map, because every value of A should be added with every value of B, and the result should be stored in the new list. We don't want to filter out anything here. So what will be the Python code? A is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. B is equal to, I could have directly gone to Jupyter Notebook, but there is more fun in writing this first on an empty slate. Okay, these two are the lists. Now I say C, you will be a list. Okay, you will be a new list, but you will be result of mapping. Fine, here goes the map function. And we are going to map the values from two lists A and B. So here there will be multiple lists given. Map is now going to iterate in both the lists A and B correspondingly. And just before these two lists, we will have a lambda function. Now the lambda function will be x comma y colon x plus y. This is the function which will add corresponding elements. But how is this going to work? You see, when map starts working first time, it sees which are the list it is working with. It is working with A and B. Okay. So what map does, it will take 1, and it will take 10 because it is working on both the lists. And this 1 will be put in X and 10 will be put in Y. Come on, you have given 2 lists. So you need 2 representatives now in the parameter. And then look at this colon. After this colon, we have told what to do with X and Y. So the result will be 11. So the first result given by map will be 11. And then when map repeats, it will take the next value of A and next value of B, 2 and 20. So X will be 2 and Y will be 20. Now X plus Y will be 22. So map gives 22. And this happens for each element of A and each element of B. And then obviously you can print C. So there is no limit. With map, you can work with 3 lists also. What if somebody said there are 3 lists and add them and store the result in 4th list? Fine. You can give A, B, C and D becomes the new list. A, B, C will be the last 3 parameters given with map. So that was the problem actually. Let's go to Jupyter Notebook. Just see this. Suppose I have A equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let's say I have B equal to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay. Now I am saying C, you should become list. But list of what? Result of map. But map is going to work with what exactly? It's going to work with 2 lists. So the last parameter you recall given for map is always the name of the list. We'll give 2 lists here, A comma B. Okay. And before this comma, we will give a lambda function. Now the lambda function will definitely have 2 parameters. One is a representative of A and other is a representative of B. And the code is X plus Y. Okay. This becomes the list C and we will print C. So when you run this, oh, what happened? Semicolon. There should be comma. Mistakenly I wrote semicolon. Okay. After the parameter, oh, there is a colon. Oh, I've gone bizarre. Wait a minute. There should be a colon. I'm so sorry. Okay. So after the parameters, you have colon and then the expression. By mistake, I pressed semicolon here. Okay, let's run this. You can see that this is the addition of A and B. C is the addition of A and B. Okay. What I was telling is, what if you have multiple lists? Let's say C is one more list, which contains 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. No problem. Now you can give map, you work on 3 lists, ABC. But then in that case, you need 3 parameters, isn't it? X will be representative of list A, Y and Z will be representatives of list B and C. And then you will say each of these representatives should be added. And then you can store this result in a new list D. And finally print D. Okay. This is the answer. All this 1, 10 and 100 have been added to get 111 and so on. Don't worry, all these codes have been given in that Jupyter Notebook, which you will get by the end of today. Okay. And even the explanation of each code has been given in that notebook. Right from what is lambda function, syntax of lambda. Okay. Then what is the use of lambda? It is used in higher order function. Then we started with filter. I have given notes on filter. I have given notes on map. With all these examples and their executions also have been given. So you'll have no problem whatsoever. By the way, maybe you are thinking, what if the size of these lists are not same? Just imagine A contains 5 elements, B also contains 5 elements, but C contains only 3 elements. Now you know how map works, isn't it? Map will take 1 from A, 10 from B, 100 from C. So X will be 1, Y will be 10, Z will be 100, and then all of them will be added, and then that will be the first result. Similarly, map will take 2, 20, and 200 from all these lists and do accordingly. And then they take 3, 30, and 300 and do accordingly. But then what will happen when map reaches 4 here and 40 here? See, in list A and B, you have these elements at these places. But in list C, there is no other element after 300. So what will happen? Let's try to run this and see. See, whenever you have lesser values in one of the list, say there are only 3 values in one of the list, then map will instantly stop. It will say, okay, you are asking me to pick values from all the 3 lists, but I am not able to pick any more values from the third list. So I am not going to add 4 with 40, because 4 plus 40 plus nothing, I don't have any value over here. Similarly, 5 plus 50 plus nothing, I don't have any value here. So it's going to stop after adding these 3 elements with the corresponding 3 elements of A and of B. I hope you got that idea. So that's how map works. Both map and filter make use of lambda function. Actually, our topic was lambda, anonymous function. Then we dropped to what is the use. While learning the use, we learned list and we learned map and we learned filter. Okay. So I will go back to the first example here. This example, you recall what this example is doing? We are given a list and B is the new list which contains square of each number. As you can see over here, x into x has been written as the mapping rule. Now the point is, can we write the code like this? Of course, what will be the code? Without using map or without using lambda, okay, what code we will write? Think over it now. Think over it as I am writing. We will say A is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is our list. Okay. And I want B to contain square of each number. But I will start declaring B with an empty list. Fine. Now what's our plan? We want to take this 1, first value of A. Then we want to find square of this and store it in B. Then we want to take next number 2, square this and store that square in B again. This has to be done with every element of A. Then there is a nice for loop. Everybody knows I can say for x in A. When I do this, then A is the list we are talking about. And then x will be 1 first time, then x will be 2 next time, then 3, then 4, then 5. So x becomes equal to each value of A 1 by 1. And what are you after all supposed to do? Just say some variable y is equal to x into x. So y is square of x. And then you can say b dot append. B is your new list and you're appending y. What is y? Square of x. That's it. No if else over here. Come on. You don't want to select or you don't want to drop anything, isn't it? This is not a filter. You definitely want to transform every value of A in some new value. So there won't be any if while you are designing map function yourselves. And that's it. That's the end of for. We will outdent now and we will print B. So B is our new list. This will also give the same result, you can see. So I again say actually I exaggerated by saying if you don't use this and if you actually design, you will write 10 line program. It's not that difficult, isn't it? So, everybody is so fascinated to know that, oh, such a big work has been done by such a small line. I mean, now this looks like a small line. But if you do it independently like this, then also it's not going to be a very, very big issue. So what we do now, as we are in the 4th week now of our course, and we have gone past so many topics. What you will get now, you will get Jupyter Notebook. I said on functions, and you will get Jupyter Notebook on Lambda functions. two different Jupyter notebooks you will get. You make it responsibility to go through that entire Jupyter notebook, and that notebook will contain some unsolved examples. Just as an example, uh, if you are reading the Jupyter notebook, then you will see some question like this written somewhere. Write a program to do something. Okay, and this will be markdown code. That means you can't run this. This is simple question asked. Okay, and just below this, below this, you will see an empty tab like this. That means you have to go to that tab and you have to write your program there and execute it. And you have to then mail back, check my words, you have to mail back your answers, and the email ID where you have to send that Jupyter notebook again will also be given to you. Where are you supposed to send your answers? So you will receive the Jupyter notebook and you will again fill the Jupyter notebook and resend it. I hope that things are very clear. And this is the only way in which we will be very comfortable. I will encourage all of you to solve as many questions as possible in Python. So there will be lot of questions in those two Jupyter notebooks. There will be some solved questions and some notes also. You read that also, but I will encourage you to solve unsolved questions. Okay. After learning Lambda, list. Oh, I'm so sorry, not list, filter and map. What we saw is this filter is a higher order function where the first parameter is a function and the second parameter is a iterable. Iterable can be something like list or tuple, in which you can iterate through the values. Now the question over here is that, see, whenever we wrote filter, whenever we wrote this, we always wrote a lambda function here. Yes, or even map. Filter or map, we wrote lambda function. That's not a rule. That's not a rule that you must write lambda function, unnamed function. You can even have a named function here. Named function. Remember, filter and map are higher order functions because the parameter passed to such function is a function. That's important. So it might be unnamed function or it might be named function. It's not a rule that you must have unnamed function only. You must write lambda only. It can be a named function. Okay. So how do you do this? What I am talking about? Let's see, first of all, by going to Jupyter notebook. Okay. Let's solve a problem like this. A is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we want to map this again. We want to map it to the square like we did. So we want a new list which will be the square of the original list. Fine. So what we do now is we define one function here called square. Now look, I am not using lambda function anymore. Okay. Square of x colon, and then I'll say return x into x. So clearly this function is finding square of a number, but this function can find square of only one number. It can't find square of an entire list. So you have to pass some number, it will return the square. Okay. Now what I can write here is B, you become a list. But this list is going to be made by using a filter. Yeah, we are going to, oh, I'm so sorry, map. I'm so sorry, extremely sorry. We want to create a list by using a map because we want to square every number. We don't want to select or drop something. We want to square every number. So map. But which list is getting mapped here? A. We will select values from A, isn't it? But then what is the rule? How are you going to map the values? By squaring. Yeah, we are going to square the values. For that, we have already written a function called square. I am not using lambda function anymore. I'm using square. Okay. Now you just say, check, map has a function parameter. What did I say? Map is a higher order function. And one of the parameter is the function itself. Correct. Square is a function. And the second parameter is a list or a tuple. And now if I print B, let's see what happens first of all, and then we will talk. Oh, look, B is still the square of the original list. What's happening? Actually, it's not compulsion that you should write lambda function here. You can have a named function. How does this run? I will go to empty slate. I'll write this code first, okay, and then let's have a discussion. Let's say I have A is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, then I am saying B, you become a new list using a map, and we are mapping values of A. Okay, but then we said that map using lambda function. Previously we said where every x should be squared, and then one more bracket for this. This was the code we wrote using lambda. But then what we can do is we can define a function square which has a parameter x, and it neatly returns x into x. Okay, and then the main script over here would be A is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then B is equal to, we will say your list created by using map, and we are mapping values of A, but mapping will be done by using square function, and one more bracket for the list, and then print B. Nothing new here. Look, how will this run? Map starts, and you know map is mapping the values of A, so it will take 1, this value, and then it will see what should I do with this 1. Previously we had written a lambda function, so it knew, okay, I have taken 1, so I will put this parameter as 1, and then I will return 1 into 1. Now here when map picks this value 1 from list A, it says, okay, fine, you want to call the square function. This is a call to the function. So the control will jump to the square function, and this x will become 1. Look at the value selected by map. Map selected 1, and this x becomes 1, and the function returns 1 into 1. So the first result given by map is 1. Now map continues, and it will take the next value from A. Next value is 2. For this value 2, again the function is called square function. So 2 is passed in x, and the function will return 4. So map is going to return 4. So whatever happened by using lambda function, same thing is happening by using named function. But you will see 99% of the times people prefer writing lambda function because it is so quick. You don't have to define a function with a name and then write that name inside the map call. Because most of the times when you work with map, you have to instantly write the function on the fly. But what I wanted to suggest is you can use named function with map or filter. Okay, so I think let's finish for today. So see you then. Bye for now from your teacher.